let's go to our next topic. I was watching Byron Scott's podcast. I think it's called Fast Break. And Tracy Murray was on there. Man, if y'all don't remember Tracy Murray, first of all, when I was in North Carolina, we used to get WGN. So we used to get a lot of Chicago Bulls games. And then we used to get replays of the Washington Bullets game or the Washington Wizards game really late at night. My favorite point guard was Rod Strickland. He still to this day, he's probably my favorite player of all time. He's the guy I modeled my game after of in high school. I wanted to be like Rod Strickland really bad. So I used to watch a lot of Wizards game. And I remember they had that lineup. They had Calbert Chaney, Rod Strickland. They had Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, and George Murison. That was their starting lineup. 7'7" George Murison, a 6'11" Chris Webber, a 6'9" Juwan Howard, 6'7" Calbert Chaney, and then Rod Strickland. And then they would come off the bench. They had Rasheed Wallace on the bench as a rookie. They had Rasheed Wallace. They had Tracy Murray. And Tracy Murray could shoot the lights out. You want to talk about shooters. Tracy Murray, I mean, Dale Curry was a great shooter. Tracy Murray was right there, if not above Dale Curry. That's how good of it. But the difference between him and Dale, they both kind of shot it the same. They didn't get a lot of lift. They didn't have to jump a lot because Tracy Murray was a 6'8" legit. He was a legit 6'8" small forward, maybe 6'9". You know, had a wide stature to him. Sometimes he would get a little overweight, but when he was in really good shape, he was a really good player. You know, he had a couple of years, 3 years in a row where he was averaging 14, 15, 16 points, like 3 years in a row, played 82 games 3 years in a row. But this is the crazy thing. This man shot 46% from the 3-point line 1 year. 46. Right. And then, normally he would shoot, like a average year for him would be 40%, 39, 42, then, like a bad year for him would be 35%, which is average. Right. But then he'd be back up 39, 43, but 46% is insane. Then on top of that, this dude averaged 44 points in high school, which was great. 44 points, like 18 rebounds. The dude could hoop, right? Anyway, I like to say this. He's on the podcast. He's talking about modern day basketball and all that stuff, man. And the first question they asked him was about the 3-point shot. Hey, man, what do you think about today's game and how they shoot the three? Right? This is what he said.
Let's do it.
You were a 3-point assassin when you did get into the NBA. And 1 year, you shot 46% from the 3-point line. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on today's NBA game and everybody shooting the 3-ball?
I'll tell you one thing. Ain't nobody shooting 46% in this damn league. They ain't shooting 43. They ain't shooting 46% from the 2-point line. Right. Shit. I tell you, he's shooting 46 from the 3-point line.
Yeah. Well, it's like this. My only problem with, I think it's too many threes going up.
Yeah.
And it's from non-shooters shooting 3-point shots. I can understand if it's Steph, Clay, people, the usual suspects that are getting them up or getting more up. But, I mean, B. Scott, go ahead, shoot them all you want. But when you have non-shooters, 4s and 5s who are non-shooters, they're like, hey, go ahead and jack that 3 up. Maybe it'll go in. That's when it's a problem. Because we all grew up where we all had to play a role, right? Everybody wasn't doing the same thing. Now everybody's doing the same thing. You're either taking 1,000 dribbles to get to a shot or everybody's jacking a 3. And then some of the 3s are bad shots. Mm-hmm. It's like off the dribble, step back, kicking your leg, 2 hands in your face 3s, and it's like some of them go in because these kids know how to make tough shots. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are outstanding at making tough shots. Steph is one of them.
Yeah.
But the non-shooters should not even be thinking about go crash the board, set a pick, dive to the rim, get to the mid-range, get to your range.
Yeah.
People, there's a such thing as get to your range. Everybody don't have 3-point range, but everybody's allowed to jack up a 3. I just don't understand that as somebody that can shoot a 3.
Right. Right.
You know, I just don't understand. Now you're taking my spot.
Right.
You're taking shots away from my area. Like, remember back in the day, we tried to go post somebody up, and I'm pretty sure Cap said this to you. Man, get your little ass out of here.
That's right. That's my area.
Right. That's my area. Get
your
your little ass out of here. Like, we were told that from the bigs.
Yeah.
Now we got bigs out there. Man, get your ass back in and get out of our area. You know, it's just the game is just, it's cloudy right now as far as roles defined, what people should be doing, should not be doing. You know, I think these kids are skilled.
Yeah.
They skilled in athleticism, unbelievable. I mean, and I also think the kids aren't to blame for all of this because there's rule changes and stuff. So players will adjust to whatever rules you give them.
Yeah.
So if they were to say, look, that's not your shot. Set a screen, dive, or we'll look for you on the block, or we look for you on, if we come off the pick and roll, we'll hit you on the roll for a mid-range shot.
Mm-hmm.
That's your shot. You know, and I think that's the role clarity is missing.
But is there?
So he mentioned two things, right? The last thing, well, one of the last things he mentioned is that you can't really blame the players for this, right? You know, you can't blame, because this is what they've been told and taught, right? So let's put that in the parking lot for now, because we're going to get to that. But the other thing that he mentioned is that the roles are cloudy, and he mentioned that, you know, if you got Kareem, he called him Cap. If you got Kareem on your team, his job is to control the paint on both ends of the floor, offense and defense, right? Kareem wants to be in the post. That's his domain. That's where he's king. If I seen a point guard come down here and wave me out of the paint because he wanted to post up somebody, hell no. Nah. Furthermore, these dudes were so serious about their role as a big man in controlling the paint, right? This is my house, right? Don't come down here. If you was a point guard on the other team trying to run through that paint, you getting several elbows, shoulders, hip checks. Like, I'm embarrassed that you think you can come down here. I'm offended that you freely just want to come through this paint. Like, you should be afraid to come down here. That's the attitude we had, and it didn't just end at your opposing team. It went to your teammates as well, right? If I make my money grabbing rebounds, and here comes little Kevin Johnson. I'm Charles Barkley. Here comes little Kevin Johnson trying to grab a rebound. Get the hell up out of here. This is what me and Oliver Miller, we got this. We got these rebounds, unless we're playing a huge team where the game plan is for everyone to crash the boards because we really need to win the rebounding battle tonight. Then that's a game plan. But for you to just casually think that you go come down here and snatch rebounds, then what am I going to do? If my point guard snatches the rebound, and I know he's not going to outlet pass to me, he goes snatching and go coast to coast, what am I doing? I mean, of course, run the floor. That's obvious. But, I mean, the way that play's supposed to go and how it's expected to go is that big man grabs that rebound, and those guards are getting the outlet pass. The outlet pass should be coming right as soon as they grab that rebound. They come down, keep the ball high, and I'm throwing an outlet to half court if I can get it to half court, and we on the break. And then I'm gonna run the floor. Everybody else is gonna run their lanes, but I'll be the last one up. I don't want who grabbed the rebound, but they're not doing it. They want Luka to just lollygag down there and cheat on defense, and him snag the rebounds. Big man not giving the rebounds no more. So he's saying the roles is not even, it's clouded. Like, big man don't even know what they're supposed to be doing no more because the guards are doing all of it. The guards grabbing the big man's rebounds, the guards running the break, the guards shooting the threes. Only thing big man is doing is setting screens and maybe trying to grab some offensive rebounds to keep the play alive. But even when they get the offensive rebounds, they can't even go back up and score. They got to look for a three-point shooter. That's what the analytics are saying. Right? Imagine going into the jungle, and this is why roles are so important, because people are created a certain way. Like, if I'm 7'5" and we playing on 10-foot rims, I have an advantage the closer I get to the rim. The further away I get from the rim, even if I'm a great shooter like Wembanyama or Bol, my advantage is still in that paint. I'm 7'5". I can be a phenomenal shooter, 40%. I can shoot as good as Tracy Murray, 46%. But I bet you I shoot 50 down at that paint. And furthermore, if I'm down in that paint and I'm shooting 50%, guess what you got to do? You got to make a decision. You go let me score, you go foul me. And then once I get a foul on your best player or 2 fouls on your best player, that opens up a whole nother can of worms for us. And now we can, that's another wrinkle we can play with. But I'm bailing you out if I'm back there shooting threes and I'm 7'5". Right? But don't get rid of your advantage. You go to a jungle, you're going to be confused if you look and you see, I don't know, you see a freaking lion in the tree where the monkey's supposed to be, and you see the monkeys in the freaking water where the hippos bathe, and you see a hippo over there, I don't know, trying to eat the highest tree like a giraffe. Like, I mean, it's just confusing. It's confusing to come on the court and see 7'5" shooting threes. I mean, I just don't get that. But that's Tracy. Here's the other thing he said though. You can't even really blame the players. And Kevin Durant was on Draymond Green's podcast, and he spoke about and I think we all know this, but you know, to hear it coming from Kevin Durant's mouth was eye-opening. This is how Kevin Durant described it.
Today's game, right? When you first came in the league, you probably get 15, 17 shots. So you had to be efficient.
Mm.
So like the chase for efficiency is the DNA throughout your whole narrative in your game. And looking at the young dudes now, they don't have that. They don't have a efficiency rating, right? It's just get a high volume of shots up. If I get hot, great. But it's almost like it's like playing the slot machines.
Yeah.
Right. With a little better odds.
Yeah. I mean, it's encouraged though. I keep saying it. Like we can't just keep not, putting the coaches out on the forefront now. They're telling us, you know what I'm saying, to be this aggressive throughout the game and to get up more, to do more, to shoot more threes. And you know what I'm saying? And sometimes that efficiency, when you shoot a lot of threes in the games, I see some dudes shoot 9, 10 threes in a game. You compromise that, like, making half your shots. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
40%, even 35, 36% is considered good. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's making 3.5.
Yeah. So if you 4 for 11 from the 3, like, all right, that's the standard that I'm at. You know what I'm saying? If I'm 12 for 25 from the field, I still had 32. I mean, yeah, that's a good that's a good number. 47% ain't bad from the field, but it's like a few of them shots you probably could have made 17 for 25 if you wouldn't have took 4 of those threes, and you might have stepped in and made a little layup or pull up jump shot. You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of game I'm thinking about. But now it's just like, let's get them up, and there's gonna be some high number of games. Dudes gonna get 40 or 50 that way. You know what I'm saying?
So he said, let's not let the coaches off the hook. They're encouraging this. The coaches are telling us to get these threes up, shoot more threes, more threes, more threes. Imagine being beating your head with that film study and practice. Get the threes up, get the threes up, get the threes up. Why are so many coaches coaching like that? Especially some of these coaches that I think know better. Like, is it anybody above the coaches that are saying that they want the game to look like that? Like, I don't know if Adam Silver has anything to do with it. I don't know if team ownership has anything to do with it. But all of a sudden, all the coaches are coaching that way, saying get more threes up, get 40, 50 up a game. Like that came out of Kevin Durant's mouth. That came out of BJ Armstrong's mouth. I did a video on BJ Armstrong saying that. He said, I've been to the coaching camps and the coaching clinics. This is what the coaches are saying. But when he talked to him face to face, the coaches know better. That's what BJ Armstrong said. He said, I know these coaches know better. But someone is telling them, and he said, I'm not going to hang them out to dry. But someone is telling them that this is the way we want the game to look. So in my opinion, I think it's coming from above the coaches. It's at the ownership level or even above. I can't say that Adam Silver is above the owners, but because they hired him, but it's coming from the NBA front office and the owners. And I don't know why. I don't know if it has anything to do with gambling in Vegas and betting or rigging. Like I have no clue. I don't know if they think they protect their investment if they play that way. People get hurt less. I don't know if the type of fans they're trying to reach enjoy that style. Because I think with players like myself that they call old heads and all that stuff, right? We like basketball so much. As long as there's not another professional league in America that we can go and watch the greatest players play, if you want your basketball fix, you're going to have to go to the NBA. It's almost like if there's only one drug dealer in your neighborhood and he's putting out bad product, but you want to get high, so you got to go to him. Like if you have a monopoly on something, you have a monopoly on something. And the NBA have a monopoly on professional basketball in America. Like we just can't go get it nowhere else. Right? So until they have a competitor, like NBA Live didn't have a competitor, and until 2K popped up, NBA Live kept putting out horrible games every year. All they changed was the cover. Threw the same game out there, changed the rosters, the same game, same graphics. 2K came along and crushed them. NBA Live ain't recovered yet. All right. So if you don't have a competitor to push you to do better, then this is what they go do. They're not going to lose the diehard friend that's been there since the 80s. They're not going to lose me because I have to watch basketball because it's addictive. The game is addictive for me. If I'm not playing it, I'm probably watching it. So it's addictive for me. So I'm going to watch. So they're thinking, well, we don't have to satisfy them. They're not going nowhere. How do we get those kids, the ones that's watching Toy Story and all that stuff, they don't even like basketball? How do we get those women that never even played basketball, don't like it? How do we get that stat nerd, that analytic nerd? How do we get that dude that teach statistics, don't know nothing about basketball? How do we get, because if we get them, and of course we get them to watch, we get the ratings, that means we get sell more TV time, but we also now are partnering with Vegas and gambling. So if we get them, maybe they might play some fantasy basketball. Maybe they might do some parlays. Maybe they might put some bets in. You don't have to know that much about basketball if you're just looking at, oh, is Jokic going to get 15 rebounds today? Yes, here's $100. You just put it in. Like, the gambling is such a huge part of this now. You can't rule it out that that's in the back of their head or not in the front of their head. Right? So the product they're putting on the floor ain't even the real deal no more. Yeah, we'll put the product on the floor, but there's so much other stuff that's going around that we're making money off of. Vegas, gambling, parlays, underdog. I can't mention all the other ones, but so many different, platforms that allow you to do that. All that stuff is at play, and they want the game to look a certain way. So they're instructing people, and hiring coaches is going to go with that flow to just shoot the threes. Just get them up and down, up and down, up and down. Keep the game going like this, up and down. Throw the threes up. That's where it's at, right? He was asked about who he think that they can play in in the league in the 90s when he played from the modern day game.
Is there anybody in today's game that could play back when you played?
I mean, of course, LeBron, because he's just bigger and stronger, skilled. I mean, his body's built to play back when we played. Our game was much more physical. Ask B about on the floppy play. I used to hate the floppy play because what did I have to do? I had to run through the middle. So if you run through the middle, you're getting your spinal cord rearranged, man. It's like these dudes are hitting you.
Yeah.
Right? So I would instantly say him because of his body type and the way he's able to take the pounding, right? KD's skill set. I mean, I don't know if he can take the physicality, but his skill set, he can score the basketball, right?
Yeah. And he has it all. He can do that elbow jumper and everything.
Right. And I say Kyrie's skill set, he's hard to stay in front of. You know what I mean? Because you look at AI and when you look at Kyrie, he's, you know, if AI can take it, and, you know, Kyrie can take it, you know. I mean, but it's maybe Joker because his size, skill set,
intelligence.
Yeah. But we also played a different style of game too. You know, they're more ISO guys, pick and roll guys. I mean, shoot, we had floppy, we throw it in, we work inside out. Could those guys play in that type of situation? Because you have to be a little bit more patient. You know, would Luka be able to bring that ball up if he got people pressuring him full court? People don't pressure full court no more. You got to pressure full court.
I think it would be tough for Luka.
He doesn't stay in shape either.
No, and he's not gonna have the ball in his hands like that. 90% of the time, and he's not going 1-on-1 90%. You know what I mean? Our era is a little bit more. You know, you're off the ball, you're getting off the ball, you might get it back, but we moved a lot more and set a lot more screens and things of that nature. So I think it'd be, I think he would play, but I don't know how successful he would be.
Right.
Because he's not gonna have the ball in his hands 99% of the time.
Right. I mean, he's great at making decisions and stuff, but I mean, when you see a guy handle the ball that much, you instantly think back to our era. You think Buck.
Yeah.
Buck was pushing that thing, and he was making decisions like that.
Right. Not 30, 40 dribbles.
No,
and then you know what I'm saying?
No, he's downhill. If you don't stop him, boom. And you're getting shots. And he was in shape. He's going to push it. He's going to grab it and he's going to push.
Every
time. And if you ain't running, you just miss out.
No, you're going to be on the bench.
And we would. Yeah, and that's what when you play for Bat Riley, you better be in great shape, and you better be able to run for 48 minutes. Right. And like you said, you got to defend. But if you didn't run on a break, dog, or you didn't get back in transition,
right?
Come over here, go over here and have a seat.
Man, I like to hear honest people that played in the 90s, like be honest about what they think about the modern game. He gave shout out, he mentioned KD, he mentioned LeBron, he mentioned Kyrie. He said, yeah, those guys will translate Jokic. Yeah, those they could play in our era, right? It'll be a little bit more physical. They'll adjust to it. They're great players, right? But then they got to talking about Luka. And you could tell they're not that impressed with Luka. Now, the more I watch Luka, the more impressed I am. But I still have the same opinion that if he was playing in the 90s or in that era, number one, at 6'8", unless you were Magic Johnson or you were Penny, you move like that, there wasn't a lot of people or a lot of coaches that was going to say, hey, I want you to be my point guard. Out of shape, chubby, slow, can't guard point guards, all of the above. You wasn't going to be the point guard. You was going to be a small forward. You was going to be Turkoglu. You was going to be Pager. You was going to be driving Petrovic, right? You was going to be one of those guys, Marcelonis, right? You was going to have to figure it out off the ball because we had the Stocktons, the Mark Jacksons, the Muggsy Bowles, the Rod Stricklands, the Greg Anthonys, the Damon Stoudemire's, Mark Price, Darrell Armstrong, Avery Johnson, Kevin Johnson, Mookie Blaylock, right? Travis Bett. Like, these was the point guards. They really operated and ran the position. There was anomalies. There was guys like Penny. Those was I think Brian Shaw ran point his first couple of years with the Heat, but then he moved off the ball. You got some 6'6", 6'7", after Magic, a lot of people was trying it, so but Penny was the one that really was able to do it. They tried Allen Houston at point guard in Detroit a little bit when he was playing with Grant Hill. They tried it, but for the most part, especially if you wasn't fast and you couldn't keep up and like, come on, like, what's the point? So yeah, he would have been a small forward. So some of the stuff that Luka can do, we probably wouldn't seen him do it that often. Because some of the stuff that Luka could do, Hedo Turkoglu could do. And we didn't see it that often. As a matter of fact, we never seen it in Sacramento. And I don't know where he went after Sacramento, but we didn't know that he could play point forward until Van Gundy had him playing point forward in Orlando. And when he was in Orlando playing point forward, oh man, he used to hit some clutch shots, some game winners. He used to do the big marbles dance from Major League Baseball movie. I got big marbles. He used to do that. Man, Turkoglu was a nut, man. I like Turkoglu. But and you're not gonna find a lot of footage. So if you wasn't watching those games live back then, it's gonna be hard to find it on YouTube. All right. So get League Pass or do something. Go watch the Orlando Magic when Dwight Howard and Turkoglu got to the finals that year, and watch how Van Gundy used Turkoglu. It was just like they used Luka, except it wasn't like the main guy that they were trying to get the ball to was really Dwight. He would get it in the post. He would get it on lobs, screen and roll situations, and then they would use Dwight as a roller almost every play. And either you go give that lob up, or you're going to give up a 3 to Rashard Lewis, or a 3 to Jameer Nelson, or a 3 to JJ Redick, or a 3 to Michael Petrie. They had Ryan Anderson come off the bench as well. Like, they had some shooters. They would have they was having Rashard Lewis play power forward. Like, Van Gundy was a little bit ahead of his time. They would have Rashard Lewis play power forward alongside Dwight Howard at center, Turkoglu at the 3, Michael Petrie at the 2, Jamil Nelson at the 1. And they would let Turkoglu run a lot of point forward from their small forward position. And he was phenomenal. But he wasn't the primary focus on offense. So all the stuff we seen from Luka as a passer, Turkoglu was doing. As a point forward, Turkoglu was doing. And then the threes, the step backs and stuff like that, it wasn't always a step back, but he was a 3-point shooter, a better 3-point shooter than Luka. So he was doing that as well. It just he wasn't featured on offense. So he instead of him getting 30 points, I think he was getting 20. But Turkoglu was like that, right? My point is this. I think Luka is closer to Turkoglu than he is to Larry Bird, like people think he is, or Michael Jordan, like Jason Kidd said he was in the Michael Jordan conversation and the Kobe conversation. Nah, he's not in that conversation. He's closer to Turkoglu. The only difference is Turkoglu didn't have the opportunity that Luka has, right? So that's a difference, and that's what Byron Scott and Tracy Murray is saying. It was like, man, if people picked up Luka full court, if they picked this little fat tub of goo up full court and pressure him for 4 quarters, he'll be begging not to be the point guard again. Get me off the ball. I mean, can you imagine Derek Harper or Greg Anthony? Like when the Knicks had Derek Harper at the point guard, they said Derek Harper was the best hand check point guard full court press that there was. Like Derek Harper was a menace. All right. They had Derek Harper at the point. Hubert Davis was a good defender as well. Starks was a good defender. Then they come off the bench with Greg Anthony. Greg Anthony was just as good a defender as Derek Harper. Like it was hell playing the Knicks when they had that. Then the bigs, like if you was lucky to get up the court with Derek Harper or Greg Anthony pressuring you, and then you ran your offense and you got in that paint, you had to deal with Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing, Anthony Mason, Charles Smith. Like it was some people down there ready to beat you. Like the New York Knicks and Pat Riley was nothing to play with. I would love to see Fat Tub of Goo, Luka Vandross handle that pressure with Greg Anthony and Derek Harper pressuring him 94 feet. I would love to see it. I'd love to see him still get his 30. I would love it. He would look like Turkoglu, right? And that's what he's saying.